Hey guys! So today we're going to do some Learn to Watercolour from this book, 20 step-by-step beginner-friendly lessons on watercolour paper, which includes the watercolour pad with sketches, no drawing required. I've been working through this for a while now and we're actually almost done, but today we are doing feathers. So this is going to be using a new technique we haven't covered yet, and that's masking fluid. So it's going to be interesting. So this is what we're going to attempt to get at the end. So we will see how that goes. But the first part we got to do is use some masking fluid to mask off some of these. I have this liquid mask and stuff. I've had this for a long time, and it's actually quite dried out. But I have managed to reduce, move around and get some liquid from it. So I'm hoping it's gonna work and we'll still be good. I haven't pre-mixed any colours because we do the masking fluid first and then we got to let that dry before we do any painting, and it's still extremely hot in here. I'm hoping my fan is not too loud for you guys, but I can't turn it off. And this would just dry out if I prepped the colours beforehand, so we're not doing that. So it says here we got to use the masking fluid on the centre line of the quill on all of the feathers, so down on the centre line of all of these. And then add some dots of masking to the top left feather. So the top of here. Middle of the right feather. So here, guessing. Yeah, doesn't look like we're doing any on this one. Yeah, add some dots of masking fluid, top left feather, middle of the right feather. Yeah, so up here and then here. She's got an image of doing some dots, so we're just gonna roughly copy, hoping my liquid will work, and then we'll let this dry and I'll come back and do the painting. Now obviously for you that will be literally seconds, but for me it's going to be a little while. So as I said, I'm hoping this fluid is going to work. I did do a little test on the corner to check because it is so old and it seemed to work. So at the end of the day, if it doesn't work, it's a lesson learned to don't let your fluid dry out so much. But I have had this a long time. I bought it in preparation for doing watercolours and I used it on my model making. I don't know how far. Is it just down the seam or am I supposed to do the whole lot? I think I'm supposed to go the whole way. If I'm not, we can just pull it off of that bit and paint over it after, can't we? Okay, so down the centre of all of them. Just gonna put a little more in a couple of places there because I don't think I quite got it all. Oh, it's starting to dry. Now on her instructions she said it could take an entire day to dry and then we'd have to come back tomorrow for this. But this particular one dried pretty fast. Now that's probably something to do with the extreme heat we're still having. And I know you in hot countries are going to say that, you know, 29, 30 degrees is not that hot. It is for us UKers, and more importantly for women of a certain age who are menopausal, this is extremely hot, okay? So leave me be. Let me moan about my heat. But it does mean that all of this should dry reasonably quickly and I can actually get this all done in one day. So for you it'll be a few minutes, but for me maybe an hour to make sure it's fully dry. Because I don't want to do it and be not dry enough. She does warn about it not being dry enough when you paint. So I've got to make sure it's fully dry. This is just some cheap stuff I got off Amazon. I don't know if it's good quality or not. It certainly dries out when it's in the container. At this point it's just one massive lump and then I've squished the liquid around that lump. But hopefully it's right. Okay, so I've done through the middles and then it was dots up the top here. Just some random dots from the looks of it. I don't know how many we should do. I guess we just do what we think. Okay. One more there. There. Think that'll be alright? Probably be alright. And then she said middle of this one. But looks like she actually goes quite far down. So just gonna do it. I'm not copying exactly where she put them. And I may be putting too many on, to be fair. But trying to also do smaller ones to have slight holes. I think that'll probably do. Looks roughly right. I think so. Now it is very important that you clean your brush after doing this. So I am going to pause the recording, go clean my brush, let this dry, and once it's dry, we'll come back. Now she doesn't say about using the heat thing to dry it, but as this is kind of basically liquid latex, I can see why you wouldn't want to add that heat. So I'm going to leave it to fully dry and then come back. So for you, I'll see you in literally a second. But for me, maybe about an hour. Hey guys, so we're back, and I think it's dry. It's still quite shiny. It feels a little tacky. I don't really know what's dry and what's not dry, but it seems fine. So we're gonna go with it and see how it goes. So the first bit we're gonna start with up here, and we're using Parisian blue, and we're gonna paint down a little bit, and then we're gonna get some grey, concentrate up here, wash it down to the bottom, and do some squiggles. That seems to be basically the bottom of it, and then a little more darker grey down here after we've done the squiggles. So start with the blue, which one was it? This one we decided was Persian blue. I don't know, it doesn't matter, does it? So put that in here. I don't think she said about the saturation on these. Let me have a look. No, we're just painting without a kind of saturation key to this one. Oh look, now I've got blue all over me orange. See, I'm terrible at this. Never mind. Right, so just gonna paint over the top here and down the sides here. Trying to make sure I go. Oh look, I messed up already. There is a gap in the feather there, but oh well, never mind. Okay, so might, if I'm really lucky, be able to just wipe it off a little while it's still wet enough to draw the colour off a bit. It's not going to have it fully white, but it should hopefully be a little better. There we go. And then just pop some more colour kind of in there. Okay, now we want some grey. Don't want too dark, just kind of blending it in there. Pass. And kind of pulling that down around that gap in the feather as well. May have went a little dark, but I'm hoping once it dries that will lighten up quite a bit. Could just wash some more water on it to remove some of that colour, can't we? I'd rather it was too light and I have to repaint over it than too dark, because obviously can't really take it away once it's dried. But while it's still drying, we can play with it and rescue it a little. So just has us do some kind of squiggly lines here. Again, we want it reasonably light, but then a little more dark added in. Maybe too much there. Just kind of in and spreading out a lot, you know? Like that. I think potentially needed a little more here. I think I may have took a little too much colour away up the top there. Like the blue. Oh wow, way too much. I want the blue to blend in, but I don't want it to run down everywhere. Oh look, and I just went over the bit that I tidied up again, didn't I? Oh well, never mind. It's not the end of the world. We're learning, and that's all that matters. I know it looks quite harsh on your camera, but it doesn't in real life. And hopefully it doesn't look as harsh for you guys that it does on mine. But I think that pretty much done it. Okay, so looks like we should do a tiny bit of the thing along the centre line, the grey, that then spreads out a little as well. Potentially should have done that while it's still a little wet, because it's obviously drying a lot already at the moment. Just trying to there. That's just light reflection, it's not a white gap that disappeared in a minute. Right, so while that's drying out, move on to the next one, which we're doing the middle feather. She has go with our gut for it, but she's used some permanent yellow near the top, and then she moved into the magenta, and then pengrain and sienna down the bottom. Now, obviously she uses a lot of yellow, so I am a little dire on the yellow front here. I do have a backup yellow I've got out just in case if I need it, but we will see, because we've been making this with the neon yellow work quite well, haven't we? Neon yellow kind of brightens it back up again on the muddy colour that we've been getting. That might work. Should we try that? So she just does that on the feather, kind of running it down a bit. And then into the magenta. I want it to run. That actually did exactly what we wanted for a change. And then There is the burnt sienna, which of course we make up by these two together. That just works better. It's quite nice not having to worry about trying to keep that middle bit clean. And then she put a little bit grey on the bottom half, wasn't it? Again, we want it to blend. So we don't care if it runs up. And we've got to do our little wiggly messes at the bottom here. I think she's gone slightly darker in some of this. Just put a bit of dark one. I think it's a little on the lighter side. Just gonna darken it ever so slightly here. Yeah, you don't see many birds that are extremely pink, do you? I mean, you get some, but not a huge amount. And then into this yellow again, so that it blends. I think that works a little better, I think. Yeah, I think I prefer that. A little darker, not quite so light. Right, okay, the last one. What should we do on the last one? The light feather. Wet the top half of the feather with clean water and then Parisian blue just below it, letting it blend up. While it's still wet, drop some Payne's grey along the top of the feather to let it come down. Okay, so you want to wet the thing. Now it's supposed to be fully clean. Unfortunately, my water is ever so slightly coloured at this point, but it doesn't matter. We can work with it. Okay, so blue in here. And spreading down. Not too worried about getting these messy bits here exactly right, because the whole point is it's supposed to be messy. Right, supposed to have some grey coming in here and spreading down. I may have went a little too black there. Let's take some of that colour out, shall we? Just going to lift the worst of the water out. Then I can take the colour away a little and use fresh water. What do you call it? mix it back in with the blue. I think that got rid of the worst of the colour, didn't it? So now we just put more water in with some of the blue to mix and let it blend again. Maybe not quite so much water that it pulls. We don't want it to pull. This is probably because I just put my fingers in there. That was not good. Let's just take my finger marks out of that, shall we? Just pulling out some of that water. And I think we want a slightly more, not runny, but concentrated colour just along the edge. Not too much water. Maybe overworking this again, you know me. Something I'm still struggling with is not overworking things. But I'll get there eventually, and as long as I'm enjoying it, it doesn't really matter. I think she has a much higher concentration in blue in this. I think I've gone too light on the blue. I think that looks a bit better. Potentially still put too much colour in here, so I'm just gonna attempt to scrub away some of it. There, more like that. Yeah, I think that looks a bit better. Okay, so after we've done that, we want to let it dry, or I'm going to make it dry. Oh, nope, she says, yeah, let it dry naturally because of the masking fluid. We can't make it dry. Then once it's fully dry, we can move the masking fluid. So we're going to leave that for a second to dry. But as you can see, it's not actually taking that long to dry because it is still very hot in here. What I'll probably do is just leave it to sit and dry. And then I will speed this bit up so you could kind of watch it dry. How's that sound? Hi guys! So we are back, and now we just got to see if this will remove, because I'm pretty sure it feels pretty dry now, so I think we just kind of give it a little rub and it comes off. If it's not dry, then the paint will smudge, but I think, sorry if the sound of the rubbing is annoying, but I think the nail scraping was more effective than the rubbing with the hands for this small bits. I might be able to rub the longer bits though. Well, that feather come out right, didn't it? Let's try to rub this one off. So I think we've come to a conclusion, even if your masking fluid looks dead, it still works. As long as it's still got some kind of liquid form, you're good. I got a bit of paint there, never mind. Take the long one off and then we'll do the small bits. These bits are coming off long. I think I just wasn't applying enough pressure over there by the time I got to that point. I think it wasn't being so delicate because I knew it was dry. There. That is all done. So what do we think? So we were going for that and we got that. Now again, my colours are a bit brighter than hers because I always do everything so much brighter. But I don't think they're too bad, are they? I think they turned out okay. So I quite enjoyed that. That was a good technique, learning to use the masking fluid like that. I think I'm gonna try that more often. But I enjoyed it. So next week we should be doing no, that's still not this one. We should be doing Puppy Love, some dogs. It's called Puppy Love, but yeah, we're doing some dogs. So that looks like it's going to be an interesting technique. Just put my bookmark in there so I don't lose it. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that, and you enjoyed the watching it dry part. I know watching dry paint is always a joke that people would rather do that than do something, but I quite enjoy watching watercolours dry because it goes from the glossy to the matte, and it's quite interesting to see the colours change. So I hope you did too. But I will see you all next week for some Puppy Love. Take care, bye, and my very messy hands.